Okay, we are going to use the graphing calculator to find the zeros of the graph. And the zeros of the graph are the x-intercepts. So we're going to go through a couple problems on this paper together. We're going to do number 14 first. So we're going to get our graphing calculator ready. And I suggest you kind of walk through this with me. So I will go at a kind of slower pace so that you can enter it with me. First of all, you always want to make sure that it's in standard form. This must be in standard form to use this method. It must be in standard form. And again, if you forget what standard form is, it's on the page right behind here. Okay, so let's look at number 14. It is already in standard form, so I don't need to worry about that. I can jump right into entering my quadratic in the first y sub 1 line. So I'm going to do negative x squared plus 2x plus 3. And you can always pause the video anytime if I'm going too quickly and catch up with me on the calculator. So I want to look at the graph just to get an idea of what it looks like. So I notice that it's crossing in two places. So that means I'm going to have two solutions. Now I wouldn't just assume that it is this number and this number, because sometimes it's close to those, but it's not exact. So we don't want to estimate where they are. What we do want to do first is look at the table. So the table is going to give us, if it's a nice integer, so if it's a nice number, we're going to be able to see it in the table. So I press second and then graph, and it gives me this table. Move it over a little bit. All right, so when we're doing the table, we're looking for where 0 is in the y1 column, but the actual answer is the x value that goes with it. So if we look here, here's my 0 in the y1 column. My solution is negative 1. So I'm going to write that one down right here. And my other solution, here's my other 0. I'm looking at the x value, it's 3. So I'm going to write down both of those solutions. And notice I use these fancy brackets or braces. That's not a coordinate. That's saying my graph is crossing at negative 1 and 3. And for this part of the directions, number 14, you're supposed to sketch the graph and label the zeros. So here's our 0 at negative 1, and here's our 0 at 3. So using the table is the quickest way to go if you have nice integer solutions. Now sometimes you don't see it right away, but we knew we had two solutions, so you might need to scroll. And you can just use the arrow button to move your table up and down if your solutions, you can't see them right away. Okay, so that was number 14. Let's look at number 17. Number 17, I just want to remind you that in order to do this method, you must be in standard form. Number 17 is not in standard form. So I would need to get everything on one side of my equation, my equal sign. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides, and these happen to be like terms, so I'm going to line them up. And I have negative x squared plus 4 equals 0. Now I'm in standard form. So now I can go back to my graphing calculator, and I'm going to clear out that equation. I'm going to enter my new equation, negative x squared plus 4. And again, the first thing I want to do is just look at the graph to get an idea of how many solutions I should have. I should have 2 here, and I'm going to go to the table to try to find them. So my table is second, and then graph. And here's my table. I'm looking for where y is 0, and it's the corresponding x value. So one of my solutions is 2, and here's my other one, 0. There's where y1 is 0, and my other solution is negative 2. So I can record that here. And then I can sketch the graph. So it looks something like this. And this one's at negative 2, and this one's at 2. All right. So far, we've had really nice solutions that have been integers. Integers are whole numbers and they're opposites. But sometimes they're not going to be nice. So we're always going to check the table first. But if we don't see them on the table, we have to do something else. So we're going to jump all the way over to number 22. Number 22 is a little bit different. All right, so again, you want to make sure it's in standard form, which this one is not. I'm going to move the 12x squared over. Since that term is by itself, it's easier to just move one term. So I'm going to move 12x squared to this side. Now there's no like term over here to line it up under, so I'm just going to put it over here. So on this side I have 0, and I'm going to write it in standard form, though it doesn't actually matter the order you put it in the calculator. The standard form would be negative 12x squared plus 5x plus 2. All right, now I have it in standard form. So let's put that one in our calculator. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. All right, clear this one out. I've got negative 12x squared plus 5x plus 2. So here's my graph. Now, if you notice, it doesn't really look like it's crossing at some nice numbers, but just in case, I'm going to check my table first. So looking at my table, I don't have anywhere where y sub 1 equals 0. And again, that doesn't mean I don't have solutions. I have solutions. They just might not be integers because our table only shows us integers. So this is why we're going to jump over here to the other part of the directions. And we're going to follow these steps. And they're sort of similar to finding your min and max point. So let's go back to the graph for a second. All right, and I'm going to walk through these points. So I've already entered my equation, and this time we're going to press second and trace, and you're going to press 0, or the number 2. All right, it's asking me, I'm going to try to find this first intercept on the left. So I need to tell it a number on the left of that intersection point. So I can just name any number to the left. I'm just going to say negative 3. And then I'm going to say enter. Okay, and now it's saying what number on the right. So I'm on step 5. And I'm just going to pick any number to the right. But you have to be careful because if I pick something over here, it will confuse the calculator because I have 2 solutions between those. So I'm actually going to pick 0. So you can see there are little arrows here. It's saying, okay, you only look between here and here, and there's only one intersection point there. So it asks, do you want to guess? And you press enter. And there's my solution, negative 0.25. So that's one of my solutions. Negative 0.25. I don't need to write the y because the solution is just the x value that I'm looking for. All right, that was the first step. Now, I have 2 solutions, so if you notice down here, it says repeat if there is another x-intercept. Well, I've got another x-intercept, so I'm going to go through those steps again. Second and trace, and I'm going to find the 0. And this time, I need to tell them a range from here to here. So I just include one intercept. So I'm going to say my left bound would be 0. And I could pick anything to the right over here. I'm just going to say 5. Okay, and it says, okay, you want to guess between these 2 spaces? Yes, I do. Enter. And that's my other solution, 0.6666. Okay. So I'm just going to round to the hundredths. So my answer is 0.67. So we have found all of our solutions. Just remember, you must be in standard form in order to use this method. check your table first to see if you have nice solutions. That way you don't have to go through all those steps. And if you don't see it in the table, but you know it's crossing the x-axis, you're going to have to go through these steps next.